Hi, my name is Curran Parker, and I'm going to be going over the underrepresentation and misrepresentation of races in television. The media is aimed to do one thing: broadcast a program to all viewers that they will enjoy watching. The operative word in that is all viewers. So why is it that in media that we do not see a fair representation in all television programs? If we have an ever-expanding diversity in population, why is it that we see all of our primetime television that there are only white people leading in roles of every popular TV show? Community, Parks and Recreation, The Office are all great programs that most of us love to watch. They do indeed have a mix of characters on these shows, but the fact remains that there is still no strong colored main character standing in the lead role. So the question is, why is this? We have ever-growing demographics of all different races and ethnic backgrounds, but no real diversity of races and lead characters on primetime television. So would we as a society even feel comfortable with having that lead roles in these programs being replaced by a colored individual? We can deny that we are racist and even say that we are accepting of other ethnicities. But what media and television portray are representations of what we want to view as a majority, then wouldn't what is televised differ with that assumption? This brings up the question of, does society's underrepresentation or differences of different races on television mean that as a society we still have racist tendencies? There was an article published about everyday racism in Australia. It examined two different stories of incredible survivor and rescue scenarios that played out within the same time frame. However, first survival story were about two trapped miners who were white and Anglo-Celtic descent and were blasted into fame, and even at one point had to hire agents to deal with all the television and radio appearances that they were making. Around the same time, there were three men of Aboriginal descent who were trapped at sea on an open dinghy for 22 days. However, these men were ignored by all media sources and essentially returned to their families to continue their lives right after the event happened. The question is, why would an equally incredible story be brushed aside? News is notorious for their racist tendencies. Although most networks say that they are fair and balanced, this just isn't the case. But what happens when different races are represented on television? This leads into my next point of the misrepresentation of races on television. There was a great article written called Patterns of Prejudice. In this article, it explained how famous sports athletes will simply perform off the field in accordance to their race, specifically stating that they act out in a soap opera type manner. The example they used was in a court case of rugby players from Leeds, England, that were caught in a nightclub brawl. I don't know the specifics of the court case talked about in the article, but the sentence of the three men were from 9 months given to the 19-year-old athlete up to 18 months given to the older individual athletes, which was argued to be too severe for the incident. In it was mentioned in the article that the representations of black sportsmen have reinforced broader notions of black criminality. A far more familiar case, which perpetuated black stereotypes for black sports athletes, was Michael Vick's dogfighting case. This was something that really brought a negative image for African American athletes, and it was perpetuated for years as a huge deal. What these men did was not justifiable by any means, but it isn't the point. The point is that athletes like Tim Tebow are praised not only for their athleticism, but their humanitarian efforts outside of sports too. So the problem isn't a matter of portraying criminal acts. The problem is that when we see an African American athlete, media never seems to portray anything outside of their athletics unless it is completely negative. That's the problem with television and the misrepresentation of race. We are being brainwashed into stereotypes, and it is causing generation after generation to keep these racist stereotypes running. I'd like to end with this quote out of the Bible. It is up to you to believe what culture tells you, but I would like to leave you with this. 1 Corinthians 12 through 13 says, "For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one Spirit we are all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we are all made to drink of one Spirit." So just keep in mind when you're watching television, just be aware of what's happening. Thank you for your time.